So, according to the reports, Galatasaray have put in a 30 million euro offer for Hakan Calhanoglu. Would you sell him or would you keep him? That is the topic of today's video on Hakan Calhanoglu. Our beloved Hakan Calhanoglu sai perché. Great chant that we always sing at the stadium. The reports are coming out of Turkey at the moment, not much coming out of Italy. So, one report coming from an outlet called Sportcell TR, and the other one Ecole TV. So no idea on the validity, the level of the source, but two different sources from Turkey. Some murmurings of the last few days I already heard. Also Italian sources as well. Nothing official on newspapers about Hakan potentially being on the chopping block or Inter willing to sell Hakan, and looks like it's something to concretely discuss right now because this is not the first time Hakan's got offers, by the way. Hakan has received offers last season. Very concrete offer from Bayern Munich was on the table, but both Inter and Hakan shut it down quickly after the amazing season that he had last year. Let's not forget, well, it depends what you call last year now, but I'm talking about the 23-24 season when we won the Scudetto, where Lautaro Martinez won the MVP for us, but I think an argument could have been made for Hakan to be the MVP quite easily because he was more consistent than Lautaro throughout the season. He was amazing. According to the reports, Bayern were willing to put down 40, 50 million euros last year for Hakan, but Hakan didn't want to leave. Inter didn't want to sell him. So that was the end of it. The other offers that were on the table also confirmed by Hakan himself and by the club. Saudi Arabia did come calling for Hakan last year, January previously. And again, he was not interested. Inter weren't interested. So nothing was made of that. But now, at the age of 31, Hakan, and you guys will remember, guys, especially if you follow this channel loyally. And by the way, leave a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Was it January or February? At some point, I'll put the video up now, the screenshot of the video. My video was, is this Brozovic 2.0 in relation to Hakan? Because I was starting to see those signs that now I'm starting to kind of understand or be able to see ahead of time of what was happening to Brozovic was happening to Hakan. So what I mean by that was the physically, mainly this physical part. It seemed like the previous season where Hakan was amazing in this regista role, CDM role. We have to have so much running, so much tackling, so much dueling. You have to be switched on all the time. If you mess up one pass in that position, the whole team is in trouble. That looked like it took a real big toll on Hakan's body and fatigue, mentality wise, emotionally, and he looked a shadow of himself. Let's be honest. One of the big players who was most disappointing this season was Hakan Calhanoglu. Aside of the injuries, when he's come back from injuries as well, of course, that final, everyone stank up the Champions League final. But Hakan, once again, he was stinky in the Man City's Champions League final as well, but he stank it up in Munich as well against Paris. And at no point this season, maybe a few games here and there, at no point this season he's really looked like the Hakan from the 23-24 season, or even the season before when Inzaghi originally converted him into a regista, where he won me over. You guys will know if you follow this channel as well for a few years. When we signed Hakan from Milan on the free transfer, I was like, great deal. Marotta on the Ericsson, heart attack, everything, way to deal with that, fantastic. But I'm not really a fan of Hakan. First season as a mezzala, left centre mid in Inzaghi's 3 centre midfielder role. He was good. He was good. Put up good goals and assists, but I still didn't like him. Then second season, when he got converted into a regista, when Brozovic was out injured, I was like, whoa, wait a minute. I like this guy. And then the season where we won the Scudetto, he became kind of my favorite player because you guys might know that is my favorite position in football. Brozovic was my favorite player before when he was, and then it became Hakan. I just like players in that position. I used to like Thiago Motta, I used to like Cambiasso. I really like Toni Kroos. That's the position I really like. But then this last season, this brother, I was just Very frustrated with him. Very, very frustrated with him. And you could say that with a lot of the players that they weren't good this season. A lot of the big players, and I've seen the sentiment change on a lot of players this season, especially after that final. I think everyone's like, no one's untouchable now. Even Lautaro fanboys now are like, yeah, if Alpha comes, we'll think about it. Even Barella fanboys, Bastoni fanboys, everyone's actually Bastoni's probably the one that's escaped. Everyone else, it seems like it's not untouchable anymore after that. But anyway, the point is, if there is a 30 million euro offer on the table, would you take it? If you're Inter, do you take it? In my video back a few months ago, the one I was referencing, I was saying because of his salary, he is one of the highest earners at Inter now, 6.5 million net, which is around 12 million gross cost every year. So he's a big cost to Inter yearly. He was a free transfer, so anything Inter make on his sale would be a pure sweet plusvalenza for the accountants of Oak Tree who can sleep well at night. That would be 30 million pure capital gain pretty much. So in that sense, it probably makes sense. But this is the issue. We're not talking financials. On financials, maybe it makes sense. But who do you replace Hakan Calhanoglu with? Who do you replace him with? And that's always the question, whether we're talking about people want to sell Lautaro. Who do you want to sell Lautaro for? I want names. I've had these conversations before with people. I'm open to selling Lautaro. I've always been, if you follow me on traditional, but give me some names. Convince me that there is people out there that can do what Lautaro does. Now for Hakan, who is out there? And now the names that have been mentioned, are you really convinced by Nicolo Rovella? So that's supposed to be apparently the number one name for Inter, for Marotta and Ausilio. The one, the Lazio regista, who is 24-year-old, if I remember correctly. Apparently, we already made an attempt to sign him a few weeks ago, if you believe Gazzetta and Corriere. I think it was the sources who said we tried to make a money plus Aslani offer for Rovella, which is a good offer, but of course rejected straight away. Shock. But that's the thing. I would be super happy if you're talking about Rovella, or let's say other names, Ricci, or let's say Angelo Stilla, all these names, because, but in what position? I'm talking about the vice Hakan position. I'm talking about the guy to replace Aslani, someone more ready to come in and replace Aslani, and maybe in a year or two take over from Hakan, just like Hakan did from Brozovic, etc. Continue that cycle once that player is ready to step in. But if you're telling me that you're saying Rovella Ricci is ready to step in right now and take over from Hakan, then I have my doubts. Then I feel like, again, we are starting to maybe, as Interisti, now accept this new Oak Tree project and accept kind of downgrades in positions. Because yes, Hakan had a off year, physically maybe not as reliable, but I was still, rank him as a good top level regista on his day if he recovers to form on his, he's still 31. I'm not even talking about proper old guy. Rovella had a good year last year. Probably was in my Serie A team of the season. Probably actually just missed out on my Serie A team of the season. Was quite good. But did he, when you watch him for, let's say, when he plays for Italy, the other day he played for Italy, did he impress you when he played for Italy? I always hear when Rovella plays well, I get people saying, oh, look at this performance today. But when Ricci as well, everyone's hyping up Ricci the whole season, and I thought we should have signed Ricci in general just because he can cover the mezzala position and the regista position, 2-in-1, 25, 30 million, you can get the job done. But if you're talking about straight Rio regista to take over from Hakan, these names, I don't know, man. They're not looking too convincing to me. We've done it with the coach. We've accepted, Kivu coming in because we want this new project and, new ideas, fresh ideas, and cheaper, younger. That's the outlook. But if these are the moves we're going to make, it seems like our expectations really going to have to be set lower for next season, where it's going to be top four, see how far we get in Champions League. Not really going for the Serie A title. And you're seeing what Napoli are doing right now. Today Napoli confirmed Kevin De Bruyne coming in. They want Sam Burkema from from Bologna, the one that established Serie A star to come in to be centre back, whether it's a starter or rotation, alongside Buongiorno and Rahmani. They're going to make more signings. They want Dan Ndoye onto their Scudetto winning team with Antonio Conte. So they are going to have that advantage of the being the manager already maintained, whereas us and the half of Serie A is going to have new managers already. Advantage Napoli in many senses for next year's Scudetto. But yeah, Hakan to Galatasaray. Do you think it's going to happen? I mean, they've offered him 10 million euros, so that's his homeland. For him, I guess it makes sense. He didn't want to go to Saudi Arabia. He is Turkish. He is a massive name out there. Biggest brand, probably biggest brand name, maybe next to Arda Güler because he's got the Real Madrid extra boost. But he's massive out there, so that would be a massive move for Gala if they may do it, and they can obviously afford that salary. Apparently, 10 million euros. I'm thinking that's net, right? Because they were paying for Osimhen's salary, so surely that's net. I think the reports are saying Inter 140. I think if the offer is true and Gala upped the offer to 35, I think Inter would ship the guy to Galatasaray, to Turkey. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. It's a interesting topic, difficult topic, and I want to see you guys' comments because when I made the video a few months ago, some people even criticized me on the video saying I was too early. I want to see what people's thoughts are now. As always, guys, no Hakan or Hakan. Inter is always number one. Forza Inter always. Marotta League returning next season, hopefully. Ciao ragazzi, Forza Inter.